Now, with over 5,000 views on our YouTube page, it's the Baseball Talk Radio Show with Rich and Gary. And hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show, where we're talking all about our favorite sport, and I'm sure it's probably yours as well, since you're tuning in here. Baseball. How you doing, Gary?
I'm doing good, Rich, and another week closer to the playoffs, and some more trades abound. Even though it was more my team that made a couple of deals, nothing earth-shattering, however, but. Yeah, we're getting into the dog days of summer, though, it really hasn't been a real hot summer. And these guys haven't really had a lot of heat. Certain parts of the country it has, but for us in the Northeast, I don't think you'd call it a really hot summer so far.
No, we've been getting lucky here and there. We've had some heat waves going on, a few days here, a few days there, but we're getting a little break in between, which is nice. And as you said, the baseball season is heating up. The Mets traded Jay Bruce, and I was very surprised to hear that. I thought he was being finally accepted in New York. He's probably done about the best of any offensive player on the Mets this year. And suddenly he's gone from the team. What's been the local reaction by Met fans?
Well, I think people have been more upset about the return, and it was so little that they got for him. But he became a bit of a favorite here. People liked him. He seemed to, like you say, he seemed to finally fit in with everybody. He liked playing here. He liked the teammates and everything like that. And once he started hitting, the fans started to like him. But, it is a business. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. And I guess they didn't want to take the chance of not getting anything for him. They probably would have offered him the qualifying offer, and don't know whether or not he would take it or not. He said that he may have taken it, but he also said that he wanted to test the waters of free agency. So, now you have to balance it, because it's no longer a sandwich pick that you get if you make a qualifying offer. They made it like I don't even know. It's like a 75th or 80th pick or something. So it's much lower now. So it does kind of take away the incentive to offer a qualifying offer. Agents were complaining because the guys were getting a qualifying offer and they were stuck to that team. But I wouldn't mind for 20 million or 18 for 1 year, whatever it is going to be this season. So, but he is gone, went to the Cleveland Indians, and Lucas Duda is gone, went to Tampa Bay, and Neil Walker was traded from the Mets last night to the Milwaukee Brewers for a player to be named later and cash considerations, whatever that means. I don't know if we're getting the cash or they're getting the cash, but it's the game of baseball now, Rich, and guys clear waivers, and I'm sure there may be some more small deals made. It's the way of the game now.
Yes, indeed. And I guess that still makes them eligible for postseason play. I forget the rule on that, what date a player has to actually be on a team to be eligible for postseason play. I think it might be the end of August, possibly. But
I think it's August 31st, because September 1st the rosters expand, and after September I don't think you're qualified, but I believe it may be August 31st.
So the Indians put themselves in a much better position. I'm very surprised at the Mets. Jay Bruce took them a long time to warm up to New York, but he certainly was warm for them. And interesting the way they're making moves. Almost, the Phillies are in the same boat, in a worse boat actually. They've got a lot of dealing to do on that team still. And your Phillies or my Phillies and your Mets are playing this weekend actually.
Yes, they are. They're playing as we speak, and I won't go into it.
Well, I didn't look at the score, so that's going to be a mystery for our listeners to tune in. We have one of our longtime listeners said he was going to be checking out Citizens Bank Park. Be interested to hear if Jeff made it out to see the series. He was going to go check out all the things that Citizens Bank Park had to offer on alumni weekend for the Phillies this weekend, and they had a lot of the old time Phillies back there. Mike Schmidt, of course, who does the broadcasting. I saw Von Hayes this afternoon on television, and it's amazing because when you don't see these guys in a certain number of years, you always have a picture of them in your mind, as a player going back many years, and then you see this guy on TV this afternoon, and you're like, oh, that's Von Hayes now? Wow. How did he get old?
Well, we all do that. Rich, just so you know, your young first baseman Hoskins,
yes,
just got his first major league hit, a single to right field. The Phillies now have first and third, I believe. Just went off of Dom Smith's glove. If he was 2 inches taller, he would have caught it. But he got his first major league hit, and everybody's excited in Philadelphia.
Yes, they are. A lot of hoopla surrounding him. I know. I didn't think we would see Reese Hoskins rather, called up on the Phillies team before September. For some reason, they never call certain players up until September. I guess it has to do with service time and things like that, how many extra years they can keep a player under the control. But yeah, they did add Hoskins, and they're very high on him. Let's see if he can help them out of the basement, because they're still the worst team in baseball. But baseball's that way. You lose for a certain number of years, then hopefully within a couple of years you can rebuild the team.
Yeah, that's it. And the Mets is trying to do a rebuild on the fly, more or less. They're rebuilding the bullpen for next year and for the future. And we'll see. You get some guys healthy. It's all about staying healthy in this game. And unfortunately, they didn't do a lot of that this year. But next year's another year. And, we still root for our team no matter what. And, Rich, before I forget, you were talking about alumni weekend with the Phillies. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't offer our condolences to the Darren Daulton family, Darren Daulton, the longtime Philly catcher, died last week of a brain cancer, I believe it was. And also Don Baylor passed away last week. So no connection to Philly with Don Baylor that I remember, but Darren Daulton, of course, with that championship squad, I believe. And just a shame. He was 56 or 55 years young, and died of brain cancer. So I just you were talking about alumni weekend, and there's one guy that didn't make it to it.
Yeah, he would have been there, and he was there in a certain sense. They did have his jersey. They had some video on the screen and a remembrance of him. But yeah, yet another baseball player taken by a terrible brain cancer in his case. And Darren Daulton, a member of the 1993 World Series Phillies team. They didn't win it that year, but still a great ragtag bunch of teams, along with players, rather, with John Kruk and Mitch Williams, people like that, some real characters of the game from way back when. But yeah, that sort of shed some light again on the brain cancer issue that a lot of the players seem to come up with, even the coaches over the years. There's been different studies and investigations on why this seems to be so prevalent. And of course, a lot of those players were players during the artificial turf era of baseball. And they're trying to make some sort of connection between that and how some of these guys are coming down with these brain cancers.
Hmm. That's very interesting. That I never heard that, but
Yeah, in the Philadelphia area, you have four main players: Johnny Oates, Darren Dalton, of course, most recently Tug McGraw, and there's also a fourth, John Vukovic,
hmm,
was a player and then a coach for the Phillies. They all came down with brain cancer, and there's a lot of other players. If you go to my blog over at fightingphillies.com, I had a story on it. There's some more names in baseball that are added to that list. So it's a problem that I don't think has gotten a whole lot of coverage.
no.
Yeah, maybe some regional coverage, especially in the Philadelphia area specifically, because we have that little what they're calling sort of a cluster. But across the country, I'm sure if they started investigating this more, it'd be more of an issue.
Now, could it be the grass? I mean, could it be the turf, or could it be something that was under the turf where they built the stadium? I mean, that could be a possibility, being that there is such a cluster there. And it'd be interesting. Somebody, I have to go check your blog. Some of the other players, what era did they play in?
Yeah, of course, ex-Met Tug McGraw, same
Doug McGraw.
situation. What a shame. And when the field got hot on certain heat waves, it was 135 degrees down there on the field. So a lot of the talk has been centered around all that plastic that they made the AstroTurf with, and did something vaporize or something. It's a lot of speculation, obviously, but just a lot of different methods to have gotten that cancer, and they just can't nail it down.
Wow, that's fascinating, though. That's really, I haven't heard that, and I'll go check that out.
Well, this sort of segues our comment part of the show is what happens to certain baseball fans when their teams are completely out of it for the season. And Gary, you and I both have that feeling. All
Yeah, this year we do, Rich. I don't know. It's just you try to hope for the best. You and I don't have much of a choice. We have to watch the games because we have shows that we do both for our teams and this show. So we have to be aware and continue to check it out. But it's very it's tough after being in the playoffs the last 2 years for us, and of course you know how that is after all those years being independent race and division and the playoffs, that it's like sometimes you just want to throw something at the TV, and then sometimes you're excited when they make a trade because you're looking to next season. And um I think it varies from person to person.
Yeah, and a lot of our listeners on the podcast, I think we've developed a listenership profile over the years, and a lot of them are college kids. So when they go home out of college, they leave the iPods down. They don't listen to these shows that much during the summer, of course, because they're off. They're doing their own thing. But, you know, I wonder, does a lot of baseball fans stray away from the game? Do they stop watching games during the week? Say they have another thing they can be doing, going to the movies or out to dinner, or the entertainment dollar, so to speak, is divided up in many different ways. So I guess even with us, Gary, probably in the last couple years, we haven't been to as many games as we used to be.
Yeah, it's a proven fact. Last year we went to minor league games and stuff, my wife and I, and this year we haven't been able to really put it together to get to a game yet. A lot of things going on, and life just happens that way. You know that yourself. So it's you do the best you can, and I try to watch as much as I can. Sometimes it's a little difficult. You get frustrated, and you might switch over to another show or something, but you go back and you know. But Yeah, they fight for the entertainment dollar, and that's why these teams sometimes they should be a little quicker in moving up their prospects because people may go to see them.
That's true. And we're going to talk a little bit later in the program about what Major League Baseball has come up with, an idea concerning the uniforms a little bit later in the show. But Gary, a big injury in baseball, probably maybe rivaling Mike Trout's injury, occurred yesterday with Bryce Harper tripping over a base and practically tearing his knee apart there down in Washington.
Yeah, they say it was raining a little bit, and it looks like he slid off the top of the base. Hyperextended his knee, I believe. They haven't said how long he'll be out, but he could have done a lot more damage. And if you watch the video, he's lucky he didn't break his ankle as well. So really a messed up situation. It was similar to the play that Adam Eaton, his teammate, earlier in the season, tore up his knee and is out for the season. So I don't know if it's something, we're talking about the grass and the AstroTurf in Philadelphia. I don't know if it's something with the bases in Washington. I don't know whether they're throwing something on the field that's making those bases more slick. It just, but we were chatting before we went on the air about, you've read where they did right away, something happens like this, and right away they're coming in with different ideas.
Yeah, on ESPN, a longtime baseball writer and baseball man Buster Olney came out with a report, and I read it about 5 hours ago, and I couldn't believe it. It started off saying Bryce Harper's injury could be blamed on the bases. And of course, anything's possible, but I was just shaking my head and just wondering, do these people just dream up these ideas and then start writing about them? It sounds so far fetched. It's incredible.
I don't know about that, whether they dream up these ideas, but maybe I don't even know what the bases are made of anymore.
Yeah, if you've been to the ballpark, they sell a lot of game used bases now, and you can actually go right up to certain stores depending on the ballpark where you live, and you can actually feel the materials that these bases are made out of. And in hindsight, I was reading the story and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, like what is the history of bases in baseball? They used to call them sacks, so I would imagine many years ago they were probably durable material but softer. So who knows? But now they're very tough. They're very plastic. They have to survive these spikes that the players are using. So, they are a bit on the tough side. They are a bit on the high side. But they've always been that way for the past many years. So I'm not too sure that you could blame it on that, but it did start me thinking about the history of bases in baseball.
Well, I mean, 100 years ago when I played, they were canvas, and he used to have two spikes in the ground, and you'd run the loop through the belt there and tighten them down to that. Now they are anchored into the ground with a metal post. But I haven't seen one of those. One of the modern bases, but as you say, they look a little harder than they were years ago. And I don't know. I don't know what they're made of, but perhaps they have to. I don't know if you can have a non-slip material, but maybe like a canvas on top or something along that line, where it would not slide. Let the bait, your cleats slide right off, and it would happen with metal cleats or plastic cleats. So it's not the cleats per se. I think it's just whatever the material is. But it's funny that it's happened twice in Washington, and you don't hear about it too much anywhere else.
Yeah, and I was just reading some of the comments on that article from Buster Olney, and it seemed like Chris Bryant had almost suffered an injury crossing the bag too. But, these guys are hard-nosed players as well. They're going to risk injury simply because of the way they play. We've talked about this on previous shows with pitchers. They're throwing their arms off practically most of the time, certain pitchers. So naturally, they're going to have arm problems in a while. But you're hustling down the bases. You're giving it all. You're trying to be superhuman on every play, which is a testament to a great baseball player. But you're going to end up getting injured at some point by doing that.
Yeah, and you just hope that it's not a catastrophic injury, which it could have been if had he torn up that knee. And I'm looking off to the side here because I've got my monitor here, and I'm looking, and it says first, second, and third bases shall be marked by white canvas or rubber covered bags securely attached to the ground. So whether it's a rubber covering that they use now, maybe they would have considered going back to all canvas or something. I don't know. They say they're too high. They say, and what happens if they brought in lower bases and the guy stepped on it the wrong way and broke his ankle? Then would it be too low?
Yeah, I think a lot of this is injuries happen sometimes. Players are hustling. In Philadelphia, there used to be a center fielder, Aaron Rowan, if anybody remembers him. He was always being injured because he was reckless in his way he went about playing the game. Sometimes he would run right into the fence out there to catch a ball with his face first. So, yeah, naturally, you're going to get injured if you start doing those things. So it'll be an interesting topic to watch in the offseason, see if maybe the players have an issue with it. I doubt they will, but we'll have to keep our eye on this story.
There is an interesting point in the article that they paint them. It's rubber, and that they paint them quite regularly to make them look white. Perhaps that's part of the problem because the paint's going to make them slippery. Maybe they need to just leave them dirty, or have the ground crew clean them with go out every other inning or something and clean it. Get one of those Mr. Clean sponges or whatever, and clean the bases off. But you can't keep having this kind of thing going on.
But they don't have time to do that. There's only a minute and a half between innings. We got.
They got. You sent 3 guys out there. Wipe it. 1, 2, 3.
We got to keep this game moving. Well, we talked a little bit as the show started. We want to thank over 5,000 views now on our YouTube page. So that's one place you can check out the show, of course, on iTunes and over at Stitcher Radio. Search the Baseball Talk Radio Show, and you're going to find us. And over at our website, you can find us as well, MLBthisweek.com. Gary, let's take a little break in the program, and we'll come back on the other side and let our listeners know all about that big promotion that Major League Baseball has coming up.
Okay.
We'd love to hear your comments. Please send your emails to talk@MLBthisweek.com. You can reach Gary at baseballtalkradio.com, or me, Rich at baseballtalkradio.com. We'd love to hear your comments, so send them in. Subscribe to the Baseball Talk Radio Show on Stitcher Radio, iTunes, or Podomatic.com. This way, you'll never miss an episode. Gary, I think I'm going to go over to baseballtalkradio.com and listen to all the baseball talk shows there. Do you think I can cram it all in on a weekend?
No, I don't think so. It's going to take you quite some time, but there's a little bit of everything there. Cover most of the teams, and Japanese baseball, fantasy baseball, all there at baseballtalkradio.com, the home of great baseball talk shows. And go check it out. It's a great place. And if you'd like to help us out a little bit, you can go to patreon.com, become a sponsor of the show. Help us out. $2 a month, $1 a month, anything you can give it all would be gratefully appreciated and help us do more of this kind of thing, the video, and expand our capabilities and maybe some on the road surprises in the summertime. So that's patreon.com/baseball talk. Give whatever you can. We'd greatly appreciate it. And this is the time of the year, the spirit of giving is strong with everyone. So please go and help us out.
You're listening to BaseballPodcasts.net.
Wouldn't it be great if you could get a PhD in life through baseball? Welcome to Baseball PhD, a tour company for your brain. 30 major league teams, 100 places to see. Let's touch them all as we make the road trip of a lifetime.
We're back talking baseball here on the Baseball Talk Radio Show. And Gary, I did mention that you can hear the show on iTunes before we went on the break. But, you know, between the last show that we did with the Baseball Talk Radio Show, it seems like Apple has now removed the iPod Nano and Shuffle from its stores, marking the end of Apple producing standalone music players. I was totally surprised by this.
I guess they figured, Rich, that they can, most people use their phone, and the phones have grown with storage capacity so much that that they can get it that way. But I would like to see, if they're going to do that, then I would like to see them do something like add a memory card so you could store music on there and then just pop that in and get your music instead of having to use the storage of the phone and eat up all that storage with music, because that takes a lot of space up.
Yes, it does. And as somebody pointed out, there's still millions of iPods in the selling channel, so no danger of them all disappearing. But probably within a year or so, they're going to become a relic. So very interesting there. Move by Apple. Only the iPod Touch available now officially from the Apple Store for podcasts. And I really thought Apple really had a better connection with podcasting with the community, but maybe they've decided to move on a little bit from that.
Well, they have the dedicated app, and again, I guess they figure most people have the phone with them, and if they're going to listen to things like that, they'll use their phone. So it's probably just another attempt to sell more iPhones.
We'll have to keep our eye on that. Of course, people that aren't Apple users, like myself, that was my connection to Apple. It always worked. I connected my little iPod. I could download my podcasts, go about my business, and listen to them. So it worked great for me. So Apple, bring back some of those iPods, will you please?
Yeah, they're great. I've still got an old one here, and the problem I'm going to have more is the charger, because they changed the way that they the plug on the chargers, the charging wires. So that's going to be the issue for me. I still have one that works pretty good on my iPad. I have an old iPad as well, and that'll be the issue down the road. But I'm sure somebody will make it.
We talked about before the break a promo that Major League Baseball has coming up. And Gary, yet another set of uniforms going to be coming down the road for us.
Yeah, Rich, I've got a picture here of the Mets uniforms. I thought I had one of some of the many different teams, but this is an idea. They're brightly colored uniforms, and they're going to have nicknames on the back. Now, I don't know how they got the nicknames. I don't know who picked out these nicknames because some of them are little crazy. But they're going to have brightly colored jerseys, as you said. The Mets there looks like a softball jersey with an orange hat, which is unique. And actually, that looks pretty cool. That'll be something different. So we'll see. But a number of teams, I think it's the next weekend or 2 weekends from today.
Yeah, August 25th through the 27th, we'll be seeing these.
And the whole idea is to let let the players. Well, the whole idea is to sell more jerseys and hats, but the other idea is let the players express themselves, and they're allowed to use express themselves with their cleats, with their socks, and whatever. So it's going to be that kind of a weekend where it's just going to be a lot of funky stuff. If you tune into your games, don't be surprised you see some of this funky stuff. And it coincides with the Little League World Series, who always has some colorful uniforms. And I think this is showing, I don't know what you'd want to call it, but affirmation.
Camaraderie, sort of.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Because if you look in the shops, all the jerseys and the hats that they're going to be wearing, it says something about Little League World Series with it. So I guess it's just like you said, to show some camaraderie with it. And it'll be fun. I guess we'll see. It'll be weird though to see teams in such different colors, especially with the Mets. Now the Phillies, I think, have a red hat. So not too much different from what they normally do, but it should be an interesting weekend.
Yeah, and the talk over in New York was, of course, with the Yankees. I don't think they've ever deviated from their uniform, and they're going to deviate from that on that weekend. And yeah, it's almost going to be a little comical, of course, for a lot of people. The Houston Astros have like a baby blue color hat. Colorado Rockies with a sort of a purplish type of hat there with a picture of a mountain and a baseball on it. So it's going to be very interesting. And as you said, Gary, the colorful sock combinations that these guys are going to wear. I don't know if I'm looking forward to it or trying to look away from it.
I think it's one of those things. It's either going to be great or it's going to be a disaster. So, but we'll see. If the players enjoy, it's only for a weekend, and I do like the orange hat for the Mets. I have to say, it's something a little different, and I don't know if I would recommend it all the time or like as an alternate, but for a weekend, it looks pretty neat. And yeah, as you said, Rich, the whole hoopla with the Yankees, they'll be wearing a blue jersey with white accents, I believe, and then we'll have Yankees across the front. And I believe they're wearing a white hat with a navy blue brim. If I'm not, if I think I've got that right there. So it is quite a difference for the Yankees. Of course, the pinstripes and the no names on the back, and these will have nicknames on the back of their jersey. So, but you know what? You got to change with the times. So
you do have to change with the times, and I hope this isn't a signal of that. With Under Armour getting the baseball contract for the uniforms coming up, and I believe 2018 or so, maybe even 2019. But yeah, I wouldn't like to see baseball change completely the way from the way it's been for 100 years or so with the pinstripes and things like that. But you never know. It's the evolution of certain things. Sometimes it happens.
Yeah, I don't think they will. And look, the Yankees have won the camouflage hats and things like that. So had the camouflage with the pinstripe. So it's an evolutionary thing, I think. But most teams, I think, will hold on to the tradition, and it's a gimmick. I mean, it's something to give to the players and to give to the fans and to try and sell more jerseys. Now, it's for charity, so all of the stuff they sell, the money, I believe, for the most part, will go to charity. So in that aspect, it's a good thing, and I think a lot of these special jerseys and stuff, it's a lot of it is aimed at the charities, but like I said, we'll see. I think it's just a one-shot deal of this year, but it's getting nuts now because now we have Father's Day, Mother's Day, July the 4th. And a lot of these, they started with just the caps, and now it's a whole uniform. So I guess because they know they can sell things. There you go.
Yep, we have a little screenshot of all the different hats. There's the Dodgers up there on the top, baby blue with a white D. The Cubs in the same baby blue with a small cub on the front. I like Atlanta's with the tomahawk on there.
That's a nice, yeah.
And
some of them are ugly too, to be honest.
Yeah, which one would we pick as the ugliest hat scrolling through most of them here?
Well, St. Louis looks the same as their regular hat.
St. Louis looks about the same. The Angels look about the same. New York, as you said, the Mets look pretty decent. I like the Orioles, the Giants.
Yeah.
The Phillies look completely ridiculous. They have a big blue Liberty Bell on.
It's not too bad, though.
Baby blue on a red hat. Let's pick one that would be probably our least favorite.
Well, I would have to say I've got two already, I see.
Go with my least favorite hat being the Milwaukee Brewers. It's yellow. It's mustard yellow with a black M accented with blue behind the M.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I got to go with either. Oh, San Diego's awful. Poor San Diego. They just can't get it right. They can't hit on a color scheme. I mean, that's bad. The lines are bad. That's just awful.
It's just bad.
It's just bad. Cleveland's not much better.
Little C in a red hat. That's pretty basic.
Yeah. And the White Sox, I hate that logo.
So yeah, I think you've picked two good ones there with the Sox along the front there.
Horrible.
I'll have to wait till this weekend, August 25th through the 27th. We'll see these uniforms presented, and if anything, it'll get a lot of people talking.
Yeah, certainly, like us.
Well, thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show. Don't forget, tune us in on iTunes, Stitcher Radio. Stop by our YouTube page. If you have a question for us, you can certainly email us as well. Gary, have a great week.
And you do the same, my friend.